Sport for choice.
Chris Farfoy.
Oh, thank you very much. It's very generous. It's very generous of you, Mr. Chair, to give me another opportunity. I do thank you for giving another member of the call. It gave the House 5 minutes and the Minister an opportunity to see if any of the questions that I posed could be answered. And because I haven't, I'd just like to continue the last few examples of 133AA. Just as I was finishing up last time, Mr. Chair, we were discussing storage tanks, which, if they do have tens of thousands of litres in them, and perhaps on the top of a building or at the top of a hill, you'd be concerned if their structural integrity wasn't up to standard. So again, I pose the question, if the officials could be useful as to who is responsible for making sure that those storage tanks within 133AA are up to standard, and why are they exempt? Now, the next two examples, which are specifically laid down in 13AA, trouble me some more as well. And again, there may be a perfectly good answer for this, but 133AA1J, the item that is exempt is a building that is a dam. Now, if an earthquake were to hit and the structural integrity of a dam wasn't necessarily up to scratch and someone was charged with making sure that it was up to scratch, then I'd hope that someone was looking after it. Maybe it could be the fact that it's a simple answer and it's the power generator that is responsible for that dam, is responsible for making sure it is structurally okay, but I can't see that, and I'd potentially like an answer from the officials. And K is also a part of a building that is a dam, which I think goes to continue on our concern there. I'd like to turn now to a supplementary order paper under the name of David Seymour 152, which looks to add to the list of exempt buildings and include a new L, and that's a building located in an area of low seismic risk. Is that correct, Mr. Seymour? Okay. I think there's two ways to look at this. I think, as one of the members on this side of the House has said, if you look at it in the way of it's in a low-risk area, it's not quite up to code, but it could be expensive to get it up to code, and doing so might not essentially improve the safety of the building and risk to people. Then you might look at it in a pragmatic way and say, hey, is this really worth doing this in a low-risk area? And I think building owners might think, do we need to go to this expense? We're in a low-risk area. If something catastrophic does happen, it's not going to make much difference. Why do we have to pay this money out? I guess you could look at it from another point of view as well and say if someone was in a high-risk area and is exactly in exactly the same position of the percentage of code, and they should say, well, I'm in a high-risk area, I'm 25%, I'm not up to code. Why should I have to do this if someone in a low-risk area doesn't have to do it? I don't know whether or not the member's SOP is going to get across the line. I wish him luck, but I guess there are two trains of thought as to whether or not that should be included in this piece of legislation or not. So I'm not going to want to take up too much more time. I hope, Mr. Chair, that the officials can take the opportunity to answer some of those pretty basic questions around 13AA, because they are exemptions. They won't be caught under this bill, and I think if someone at home were to read the list, they'd be a little bit troubled, as am I.
Oh, Lewis the Wall.